Many young players have been dubbed the next Cristiano Ronaldo. Bebe, Obertan, Zaha, all United prodigies, but all of them fell short. What happened to these 9 players dubbed the next CR7? Let's start with a player who many believed one day would be the star player for a huge Premier League team, going on to win many major honours. Wilfried Zaha was born in Ivory Coast and moved to the UK at the age of 4. He developed a passion for football and everyone saw that the young boy had serious talent. Zaha joined the Crystal Palace Academy in South London at the age of 8. Palace isn't exactly a club at the very top of English football. By 2010 they were still in the Championship and made it their mission to return to the Premier League where they felt they belonged. But things were looking rough. They'd finished 15th the previous season and were in a nasty relegation battle by the end of the 2009 to 2010 season, only just avoiding going down by 2 points. In the academy and youth sides, the 18-year-old Zaha had proven to be a fantastic prospect. In March, the manager decided to give him a run for 10 minutes against Cardiff. Palace lost the game 2-1, but fans took note of the young man's efforts. In the 2010 to 2011 season, the club gave Zaha a chance, including him more frequently in the first team, sometimes even breaking him into the starting 11. While Palace's crisis didn't improve much, finishing the season in 20th place, they were still in the Championship, giving both them and Zaha another chance the next year. 2011 to 2012 is the season where Zaha really made his mark. In late November, Palace faced off against Manchester United in the League Cup. Most fans had the game chalked off as an easy win for United. To everyone's shock, they turned on the television to see the game end 2-1 to the South Londoners. Zaha played a huge role in the win. He dribbled past the United defence over and over, sneaking in behind and causing all kinds of trouble. Though furious at the loss, United took note of Zaha's skills and added him to the shortlist of players they were interested in. Already, the young man was gaining attention. The 2012 to 2013 season proved Zaha was ready for the Premier League. He played a massive role in bringing Crystal Palace to 5th place, securing them a spot in the playoffs. His skill on the ball and constant threat gave Palace the advantage, and the club went on to win promotion to the top division. Halfway through the season, however, Manchester United swooped in and actually offered Zaha a 5.5-year contract, but then was loaned back to Palace immediately after to finish the season. With his home club back in the Premier League, Zaha focused on sharpening himself to break into United's squad. Some fans believed, if given the time to develop, he could be the next Ronaldo. The following 2013 to 2014 season proved to be a big letdown for the player, however. He started in the Community Shield match and won the trophy over Wigan, but a few mediocre performances later meant that he was kept out of the side. Zaha felt that the manager David Moyes wasn't giving him enough time to prove himself. In late January, he was loaned to Cardiff City for the rest of the season. In the summer, Zaha agreed to rejoin Crystal Palace on loan for the 2014 to 2015 campaign. He felt much more comfortable back home with the Londoners, even scoring a late stoppage time equaliser against Newcastle in the first game. In the summer of 2015, Zaha decided to return home for good, signing a new 5-year contract with Palace. Fans were delighted, and the extra game time allowed him to improve his game. Zaha proved instrumental in not only keeping Crystal Palace in the Premier League for many years on the trot, but also for taking them to the 2016 FA Cup final. Palace had never won a major honour in their history and had only ever been in the FA Cup final once before. Palace faced Man United. Could Zaha defeat his former club and give Palace their first taste of true silverware? Though he played his heart out and the game went on to extra time, United just about managed to win out 2-1. Fans were proud of their star, however, and awarded him the club's Player of the Year honour. Zaha then went on to win the Player of the Year award 2 years in a row, in 2017 and 2018. He cemented himself as a club legend, though never quite reached the insane heights some pundits believed he was destined for. Well out of Ronaldo's league by any stretch. Zaha finally moved on from Palace to Galatasaray in 2023, despite being offered a £200,000 a week contract. He got some payback against United though, as he scored in the Champions League match at Old Trafford for his new club in an exciting 3-2 win. In 2024 he signed for Lyon and is helping the club in its campaign for Champions League football. Up next is Louis Nani, better known as just Nani. Nani's story started out rough. He was raised by his aunt in Amadora, Lisbon, after his father abandoned the family when he was only 5 and his mother left 7 years later. The one thing that kept Nani going through these difficult times was his love for football. His natural talent gave him the edge over the other boys, and in 2005 he joined Sporting CP's youth team, starting his football career just like the legendary Ronaldo. After spending 2 years in the youth team and a season in the first team, Man United came knocking on the door. They signed Nani for over €25 million. When the young man moved to Manchester, he actually lived with his new teammate and Portuguese compatriot, none other than Cristiano himself. Nani got off to a great start, scoring a 30-yard screamer against Tottenham in August, his very first goal in the Premier League. He steadily featured more and more in the starting 11, though the talent ahead of him, including Rooney and Ronaldo, made it hard for him to break through. Still, fans believed Nani showed serious potential. When Ronaldo left United in 2009, they looked to him as a potential replacement. These were big shoes to fill, but Nani believed in himself. 2009 to 2010 proved instrumental in his development as a player. Despite all the pressure on his shoulders, Nani focused on his game and became a fantastic dribbler, comfortable on the ball and able to score with both feet, a huge asset to have in the game. He won his second Premier League for the club that season when he was in his prime. A 3-1 defeat to Barcelona in the Champions League final meant he wasn't taking home any European glory, but there was still strong belief that Nani could take the club right to the very top. The 2011 to 2012 season started off with a bang. He put in a brilliant performance against Man United's local rival City in the Community Shield, coming back from 2-0 down to win the match. Nani scored both the equaliser and the last gasp winner thanks to a marvellous solo run. In his 100th appearance for United, Nani scored a stunning long-range goal outside the box to make it 3-1 for the club, securing a big victory for the club. City would ultimately win the league at the end of the season in dramatic fashion, but many had high hopes the Portuguese would soon hit the heights of his former teammate. Sadly, the 2012 to 2013 season was the start of Nani's decline. His performance began to falter. In the Champions League fixture against Real Madrid, the referee gave Nani a controversial red card, sending him off. Even though United were leading 1-0, Real grabbed the game by the horns and scored 2, making the final score 3-2 on aggregate. 2013 to 2014 proved to be even worse for the winger. Injuries kept him out of the side for the vast majority of the season. By the end of the campaign, he'd managed to score just one single goal. Nani wasn't just a shadow of Ronaldo at this point, he was a shadow of his former self. Sensing he needed a change, United loaned him out to Sporting for 2014 to 2015, where his well-placed penalty helped the team win their first trophy since 2008 over Braga. Nani felt more comfortable away from the big lights and without so much pressure on his shoulders. The next season, he went to Fenerbahce in the 2015 to 2016 campaign and joined the national team for the 2016 Euros in the summer. Though most remember Ronaldo's legendary performances leading Portugal to its first major honour, Nani also played a key role in the campaign. For 2016 to 2017, the Portuguese player continued his club hopping, joining Valencia in Spain. But his age started to show. He managed to play just 26 games. Compare that to 64 Nani played for club and country the year before, and it became obvious that he was running out of steam. In the meantime, Ronaldo, 2 years older than Nani, was still tearing it up for Real Madrid and making history. Nani moved to Lazio for 2017 to 2018, then returned to Sporting the season after. He helped the side win another trophy in January against Porto, so he's well remembered by Sporting fans, but otherwise didn't accomplish much else of note. In 2019, Nani finally settled down for a bit, signing a 3-year deal for Orlando City. A couple of years later, in 2022, he joined Venezia but missed most of the season due to injury. Both sides terminated the contract after less than 6 months. That year, he moved halfway across the world and joined Melbourne City. And now, Nani spent last season playing for Adana Demirspor in Turkey, but left the club in May 2024. Since then, he's joined up with Estrela Amadora, playing in Liga Portugal. How long will he stick around? Only time will tell. While Nani did well to stay in the top flight across the world at a later age, there's no denying that he never came close to reaching the heights of the great Cristiano. It's not enough to have a few good seasons. If you want to be like Ronaldo, you have to be world class well into your late 30s. From the shores of Portugal, we hop over to Spain to find the next candidate that many believed could one day become the next Mr. Champions League. Álvaro Vadillo was born in Porto Real in Spain in 1994. By the age of 12, he'd shown his skills on the ball and joined the Real Betis youth side. Only 4 years later, and after months of playing in the B-side, the 16-year-old Spaniard became the second youngest player to ever feature in a La Liga game. Real Betis beat Granada 1-0 thanks to his help. Fans and pundits saw the immense potential in the young talent. What kind of 16-year-old can play in a top season so comfortably? After his debut in August 2011, Real Betis began including him in the side more and more often. Fans fell in love with his rapid pace as a winger and dribbling skills. Vadillo showed a maturity few can harness at such a young age. He knew when to play it smart, when to release the ball, and when to take his man on. The sky was the limit for this young man. Not only was Vadillo showing off his potential, his build was also very similar to Ronaldo's, as he was 6 foot, muscular, and able to put the ball in the net from a long way out. With enough time and care, Vadillo could become an icon of the game. Rumours began circulating that Manchester United were even keeping an eye on his development. Things look good. Until October the 15th, when Real Betis faced off against Real Madrid, the side that included the legend many dreamed he would one day become, including Vadillo himself. But it was Ronaldo's teammate that would make Vadillo's nightmare takeover instead. Sergio Ramos is not a man you want to mess with. The defender could probably fill a whole book with the red cards he's received. Ramos was an exceptionally skilled defender, and even the most experienced attackers avoided his path. Even an innocent shoulder press was enough to bring the 17-year-old Vadillo down, which led to a heartbreaking injury. Vadillo rolled around on the pitch in pain. The medical team had to take him off in a stretcher, and everyone on the ground feared the worst. Scans and tests revealed that the youngster had suffered a torn crucial ligament, a nasty injury that often spells the end of a player's career. It was devastating, but Vadillo had no choice but to spend time off the pitch and hope he'd recover. After being out for months, Vadillo did feature a fair few times for Real Betis. The injury left him hampered, but fans could see the player starting to return to form. Sadly, when it rains, it pours. Just 2 years later, in August 2014, he suffered the same injury, and his career took a nosedive after a long 6-month recovery period. Vadillo never got the opportunity to hit the heights he dreamed of. Injuries are cruel, and while he did play an important role in securing Betis' second division championship, he left the club in 2016 to find a new home. After a 2-year stint at Huesca and Granada, Vadillo then jumped from Celta Vigo, where he didn't feature at all, to Espanyol, but was then loaned out to SD Eibar. In 2022 to 2023, Vadillo joined Racing Ferrol, who had just managed to earn a promotion to the second division. His time there didn't last long either, and he's now sadly without a club at the age of 30. Vadillo did nothing wrong. He had the drive, the talent, the ambition, and the discipline. Sometimes football is cruel. Fans would have to look elsewhere for their next Ronaldo. The next player on the list is the embodiment of what makes football such a beautiful game. Success in sport doesn't come down to money or birth, it's all about skill and dedication. The next star could come from anywhere. Ronaldo himself grew up very poor on the island of Madeira. So when the young Thiago Manuel Diaz Correia, or Bebe as people call him, was abandoned by his parents to be raised by his grandmother near Lisbon and trained, he knew that there was always a chance he'd reach the very top. Only his ambition could stop his journey to the stars. Bebe spent years in a homeless shelter when he had nowhere left to go, but found time to develop his skills. After playing for a local amateur side, Bebe joined Estrella de Amadora in 2009. His performances inspired a lot of confidence, and the second division side came to see him as a key asset. But when the club wanted to sell him, European sides weren't willing to put money on a player they'd never even heard of. Finally, Bebe left the club and joined Vitória de Guimarães in 2010, a team that played in the Portuguese top flight. Despite yearly hardships, Bebe pressed on, and the club recognised his immense potential. His difficult childhood had shaped him into a real gem of a player. It came as a massive shock to Bebe when he received an offer from none other than one of the biggest clubs in the entire world, Manchester United. The story goes that Carlos Queiroz, one of Sir Alex Ferguson's assistants, spotted the youngster and sang his praises. Ferguson, arguably the greatest manager the Premier League has ever seen, took his word for it and activated Bebe's buyout clause without even seeing the boy play. On September the 22nd, 2010, Bebe made his first appearance for Man United against Scunthorpe United. When he put on the red jersey bearing the devil crest, Bebe knew this was his moment to prove himself worthy. From scouring the streets of Lisbon to taking on the lights of Old Trafford, the young Portuguese player had already done well for himself. But there was plenty of work left to do. Bebe got off to a good start. In his first start for United in October, he scored the opening goal in the 3-2 win at Old Trafford over Wolves in the League Cup. The beautifully placed chip goal played a key role in getting the team over the line in a difficult match. His good luck continued when he featured in the top flight of European football, the Champions League, for the very first time. He put away the final goal in the 3-0 win away over Bursaspor, a dream come true for any young man. By the end of the 2010-2011 season, Bebe had played just 7 games, but had scored 2 goals and made important plays for the team. For 2011-2012, United sent Bebe out on loan to Besiktas to develop his skills and get some experience under his belt. The Turkish side saw the young man's potential early on and decided to give him some game time. He played 55 minutes across 4 matches, helping the team and learning the manager's system. The Portuguese under-21 team even called Bebe up to play on the international level. It was a dream come true. Then it happened. A crucial ligament injury took Bebe out while he was playing for his country. He had to go through a 6-month recovery period before he could even think of getting back on the pitch. 2012 to 2013 was the make or break season for Bebe. Ferguson included him in the squad for the pre-season tour and gave him the chance to prove himself worthy of a spot in the starting 11. Sadly, the players in front of him were too good for him to make an impact. By January, he was loaned out again, this time to Rio Ave. There, he played 17 matches but only managed 1 goal, a far cry from his previous performances. By 2013 to 2014, most fans and pundits had accepted that Bebe would not reach the levels needed to be a Premier League player, let alone the next Ronaldo. The club loaned him out to another Portuguese side, Paços de Ferreira, in the second division, where he enjoyed some success. In 2015, Bebe made a big move to Benfica. The club took a big gamble, hoping the player could return to his former glory and push them to a new level. But once again, betting on Bebe didn't pay off. He was out on loan halfway through the season. It's at this point that Bebe's career really comes to an end. From 2015 to 2019, he jumped from club to club on different loans. First Cordoba, then Vallecano, then Eibar, and finally Zaragoza. At each club, he failed to impress, and another bad knee injury drove the final nail into the coffin. Now Bebe's playing for Racing de Ferrol, who sit in 19th place in the second division in Spain. Bebe came a long way from the homeless shelters of Lisbon, but not quite far enough in the eyes of pundits and fans. The next player's story is a little different. Jesse Rodriguez, or just Jesse, grew up in the Canary Islands. While most of the players on our list signed on early for Manchester United, where Ronaldo first took off, Jesse joined the club that cemented his legacy as one of the all-time greats, the illustrious Real Madrid. Playing for the youth side, Jesse showed real promise. It wasn't long before he caught a lot of attention for his skill on the ball. The club called him up to play for Real Madrid Castilla, the reserve team, where he featured in a 5-0 win over Universidad de Las Palmas. The game ended 5-0 to Castilla, and his strong performance made the media raise their eyebrows, and many believed he could one day be as potent as the great Ronaldo himself. Jesse's confidence was at an all-time high, but he wasn't ready to break into the first team just yet. He joined the team in pre-season, but spent the 2011 to 2012 with Castilla, where he worked hard to prove himself. Thanks to some early goals, Mourinho decided to include him in the squad for the Copa del Rey fixture against Ponferradina. Many saw it as a sign of good things to come when he came on for none other than Ronaldo himself. In March, Jesse made his first league appearance for Real against Sociedad, once again taking Ronaldo's place as a substitute. Only 19 years old, yet making such an impact on fans and the manager, it was hard not to be excited by the boy's incredible rise. The only person unhappy with the situation was Jesse himself, who had built up a little bit of an ego from his success. He criticised Mourinho for not including him more often in the first team, despite doing so well with Castilla, scoring 11 goals in 41 matches and helping the side become second division champions. Mourinho said that Jesse's style of play simply didn't fit the first team system. The boy would need to be patient and work his way to the top, not an easy feat when your competition is the greatest striker in footballing history. Jesse gave it his all in 2012 to 2013, shattering the record for the most goals scored in a season for Castilla. The new Real manager, Benitez, called him the crown jewel of the academy. When Don Ancelotti replaced Benitez, he decided to give the youngster a chance in the top flight. His Champions League debut came in a 4-0 win against Copenhagen. In the league, his very first appearance was a massive test, a fiery Clásico fixture against bitter rivals Barcelona. Incredibly, he scored his first league goal assisted by Ronaldo, but Real still lost the game 2-1. In the rest of the league campaign, he featured many times, scoring against Bilbao, Getafe and Villarreal, and even putting away the dramatic late winner against Valencia. These were big clubs in Spain, a major step up from the likes of Universidad de Las Palmas. By the end of the 2013 to 2014 season, Jesse had a Copa del Rey and Champions League trophy, as well as the adoration of millions of fans. Sadly, he also picked up a devastating ACL injury during the round of 16 Champions League match against Schalke, taking him out for a long part of the season. Jesse wouldn't play again until December 2014, when he was called up by the club's team to play in the FIFA World Cup in Japan. He helped his club win the cup, though didn't feature as much due to still being in the recovery period. For Real, he managed to score 3 league goals, but the incredible competition he faced meant getting back into the first team would prove near impossible. Jesse learnt a lot from the injury. He said it made him into a more mature footballer. The ACL seemed to have humbled the youngster, who was understandably on cloud 9. For the 2015 to 2016 season, Jesse decided he would play his heart out for a spot in the first team. With his talent, he believed he could reach the stunning levels of his teammates. Sadly, it was the world-class skills and experience of those teammates that kept him out of the side. Jesse managed to get some decent minutes in, and ended the season with an impressive tally of 6 goals and 8 assists. But when you're being compared to the goal machines that were Ronaldo, Benzema and Bale, you need to be more than great. You need to be perfect. In the end, Jesse decided to move to PSG for a fee of €25 million. He was disappointed, but left Real on good terms with a La Liga title, 2 Champions Leagues, a Copa del Rey and even a World Cup in his pocket. Not bad. The move to Paris signalled the beginning of Jesse's decline. Something about the club, or maybe the city itself, made it hard for the player to find his form. He only started 1 out of 9 league appearances. By the halfway mark, the PSG manager, Unai Emery, decided to send him out on loan to rediscover his form. Jesse returned home for the very first time in many years, being presented to a stadium full of Las Palmas fans. He proclaimed that he would lead the club's charge to European football. Las Palmas fans roared in delight, certain that this would-be Ronaldo would bring them to new glory. By the end of the 2015 to 2016 season, Las Palmas were 14th. Jesse had scored only 3 goals. Worst of all, the player had been causing trouble off the pitch as well as on it, and the club decided it didn't want his attitude around permanently. He joined Stoke City the following season, where he faced similar issues, 1 goal in 13 matches and many disciplinary write-ups. At one point, he even left the stadium before the match against Swansea finished. In 2018 to 2019, Jesse went back to PSG. With his best days long past him, he couldn't break into the starting 11 and went back on loan to Betis Sevilla. 2 goals in 19 matches was all he could manage. The next season, 2019 to 2020, it was Sporting CP's turn with Hesse, and he underperformed even more with only 1 goal in 18. The 2020 to 2021 marked the end of any hope for Hesse's return to form. He officially left PSG, played for half a season against Las Palmas, then jumped from failed contract to failed contract in Turkey, Italy, and even Brazil. On October the 5th, 2024, Hesse finally managed to find a home after 10 months without a club, Johor Darul Ta'zim in Malaysia. From coming on for Ronaldo and being touted as the next big star for the most decorated club in football history, to playing in the Malaysian Super League, Hesse's story shows you how much damage one bad injury and behaviour can cause. Most of the players on this list so far have come from either Portugal or Spain. The Iberian Peninsula seems to have a habit of producing some world-class talent, but this next player hails from Spain's neighbour, France. Gabriel Obertan caused a lot of attention when he featured for Bordeaux, a big club in France, at the age of 17. Just 1 month later, he made his very first Champions League appearance. By mid-2007, Obertan had scored his very first professional goal against Saint Etienne in stoppage time, and scouts all over Europe started taking a very keen interest in the youngster. Obertan was running into some issues, however. The following 2 seasons, he continued to show off his skills in training, but his managers just didn't give him enough time on the pitch to develop his game. Obertan felt frustrated, so when Manchester United came knocking with £3 million in hand, he didn't think twice about taking them up on the deal. Going into the 2009 to 2010 season, United were on a quest to replace their young prodigy Ronaldo, who had left for Real that transfer window for a record fee. The United leadership believed Obertan, just like the other youngsters they signed before, could be the next big thing. All he needed was the chance to prove himself. But the season didn't get off to a great start. A calf problem kept Obertan off the pitch for a whole month. His first appearance came on Halloween when he faced off against Blackburn Rovers under the lights of Old Trafford. That same week, Obertan played his first game in the Champions League, coming on as a sub against CSKA Moscow. Just over a month later, Obertan put in a brilliant performance against Wolfsburg, assisting 2 of Michael Owen's hat-trick. Things started to look good. Obertan was playing well, and though the competition he faced both on the pitch and in the dressing room was steeper than back in France, he found more room to build his profile as a footballer. But if you've been paying attention to the last few stories, you know what comes next. Injuries don't care how well you play, they can hit any player at any time. Another bad injury took Obertan out for the start of the 2010 to 2011 season. While he scored his first goal for the club against Bursaspor in the Champions League, Obertan didn't get anywhere near as much playtime as he'd have liked throughout the season. The next season, 2011 to 2012, the Frenchman decided to give another English club a go. Newcastle needed to replace Joey Barton and gave Obertan a chance to prove himself for the Magpies. The first 16 games of the season he featured in the starting 11, racking up plenty of game time but only managed to earn 2 assists. Fans weren't impressed with his performances and the manager swapped him out for Hatem Ben Arfa instead. The 2012 to 2013 season didn't prove any better, though Obertan did manage to net an assist in each of the fixtures against Arsenal and his former club Man United. He only featured in 24 games for Newcastle throughout the campaign. The next year saw more of the same, but the manager Alan Pardew held out hope that Obertan would prove a worthy investment soon enough. Pardew's belief seemed to pay off in the 2014 to 2015 season though, as Obertan upped his game for the opening match against City and provided the winning goal against Leicester, his first in 2 years not long after. But the footballing gods are cruel. They snatched away Obertan's hopes of glory before they even had a chance to form. After picking up a bad thigh injury in the game against Liverpool, Obertan had to spend 3 to 4 months recovering. He managed to play only 15 games in total that year. In 2015 to 2016, despite the setbacks, Obertan remained committed to Newcastle. With a nice assist in the opening game against Southampton, it looked like he was off to a good start, but a hamstring injury sustained against Chelsea sealed the deal for Obertan's career. In May 2016, he announced he would be leaving the Magpies in search of a new home. For the 2016 to 2017 season, he moved to Russia and played for Anzhi Makhachkala, where he enjoyed some success, but ownership changes meant he would return to England at the end of 2016. Obertan played for Wigan until the summer, when he departed for Bulgaria. After a stint for Levski Sofia, where he scored only 4 goals in 36 games, he left for Turkey in January 2019, where he played for a couple of years. To his credit, Obertan managed to find a more stable home than many of the other players on this list. Since 2021, he's been enjoying his time in the US, playing for Independence Charlotte, who compete in the second division. Did Obertan live up to the expectations? Absolutely not, but finding a place to call home is harder for footballers than you might expect. Italian football is known mostly for its rock-solid defending. Maldini was the perfect embodiment of this. So when an Italian youngster started making noise as a potential next Ronaldo type, many people had their doubts. Man United didn't. Federico Macheda was a Roman through and through, playing for Lazio's youth team. He showed immense potential at only 15, but Italian law strictly forbids players from signing permanent contracts before they turn 18. Manchester United saw the opportunity to pull off a sneaky heist and took him over to England, where 16-year-olds can join football clubs on a permanent basis. Not long after his 16th birthday in 2007, Macheda was a United trainee, ready to prove himself a worthy replacement for the great Ronaldo. After a brilliant season in the youth team, racking up 12 goals in 18 games, United signed him on permanently in the summer of 2008. 2008 to 2009 went perfectly for the young talent. After impressing the manager with his 8-in-8 performance for the reserves, Macheda got a go in the first team squad. In April, he came on for Nani in the 60th minute when United were 2-1 down to Aston Villa. Not only did Macheda provide the assist for Ronaldo's equaliser, he even scored the last gasp winner in the 93rd minute while into stoppage time, proving that Fergie time was alive and well. While he was on the bench for the following 2 games against Sunderland and Porto, Macheda once again proved his quality with another winning goal against Sunderland after coming on for Berbatov with just 15 minutes left on the clock. The club handed him the Jimmy Murphy Award for under-18s at the end of the season. The sky was the limit for the Italian prodigy. But Macheda felt a little disappointed in the following 2009 to 2010 season when he wasn't included in the league squad much at all. Though he signed a new contract until 2014, Ferguson only really used him for the League Cup fixtures. It was only in March when Rooney sustained an injury that he began to feature at all in the league. Macheda scored a goal against Chelsea at the end of the season, but only managed to play 7 games for the first team overall. The 2010 to 2011 season proved to be Macheda's most promising for Man United. He featured often as a substitute and started becoming more comfortable with Ferguson's system. He even earned the love of the fans by scoring his first goal in a heroic 2-0 comeback at Aston Villa to make it 2-2. In January, the club loaned him out to Sampdoria for some starting 11 time, but the club's poor performance meant it got relegated to Serie B at the end of the season. In 2011 to 2012, Macheda made it clear that he wanted to stay in England, as he believed the country offered more room for young players to grow than abroad. But he didn't get anywhere near as much time in the league as he'd have liked, coming on as a substitute only 6 times throughout the first half of the season. In January, Ferguson loaned him out to Queen's Park Rangers in London, but an ankle injury meant he was back in Manchester only a few months later. This was the point where Macheda's career started to peter out. In 2012 to 2013, he joined Stuttgart on loan, but played only 14 games in total. Next season, he went to Doncaster, where he suffered an injury, and again only featured a handful of times by the end of 2013. The second half of 2014 proved a bit better for him, as he shone in the Birmingham City starting 11, putting away 10 goals in 17 matches for the Championship side. In May, Man United cut their losses and let the player leave the club, after which he joined Cardiff City, who were tipped to return to the Premier League after relegation that same year. But the 2015 to 2016 season was brutal. Macheda was kept out of the side entirely in the league for the first half of the season. He joined Nottingham Forest on loan for the second half, but failed to leave any kind of real impression. For 2016 to 2017 and 2017 to 2018, he joined Novara to play in Serie B, where he managed to score 7 in 21 for the first season, but then only 4 goals in 29 games for the second. Macheda's confidence had taken a massive knock. 2018 to 2019 proved a lot better, as he left for Greece to join Panathinaikos, where he became a key player in the starting 11. In fact, by 2021, he was one of the few foreign players to play 100 games for the club. The last few seasons, he's been jumping around Turkey before settling in Greece and signing a 1-year deal for the 2023 to 2024 season at Asteras Tripolis. Makeda is the prime example of a few instances of bad luck knocking a player's confidence. Mental grit is just as important as physical prowess if you want to be like Ronaldo. Let's finish off with two more recent players who most likely will never be as good as Ronaldo, but still have the potential to be world-class talents. First up is Francisco Trincao, who started his career at his boyhood club of Viennese, then joined Braga. Though he featured a few times in the league for the club in 2018, Trincao didn't score his first goal until the 2019-2020 season, when he helped the side secure a dominant 4-2 win over Slovan Bratislava in the Europa League. The manager, Ruben Amorim, a familiar name to United fans now, saw Trincao's potential and started him in more and more games. In the summer of 2020, Barcelona made a shock €31 million transfer bid for the youngster, hoping to snatch him up early and begin their rebuild project in earnest. The contract included a whopping €500 million release clause. This was how much the world valued the player at the time. His debut came against Villarreal in late September, and he started his first Champions League game for Barcelona against Ferencváros. In February, Trincao scored his first goal for Barca against Real Betis in La Liga. Though he was doing well, Trincao needed some more time to mature as a player. He left to join Wolves in England in 2021 to 2022, as the club was signing Portuguese players left, right and centre. After scoring 3 in 30 across all competitions, Trincao returned to Portugal for a loan spell at Sporting for the 2022 to 2023 season. There, the player started to struggle. His goals started to dry up and fans didn't see much of the player they'd hoped they'd signed. But some encouragement and belief from the manager saw him regain some form. Trincao scored an absolute solo banger of a goal against Estoril and put 3 past the Casa Pia keeper not long after. The last couple of seasons, Trincao's been doing well for Sporting, but has yet to show that he could potentially be a historic player. Time will tell. As it will for Alexandro Garnacho, who's currently one of the most promising gems of the club. An Argentinian born in Madrid who made waves at Atletico, United signed Garnacho in 2020 for just £420,000. After proving himself a real talent in the under-18 side for the 2020 to 2021 season and the first half of the 2021 to 2022 campaign, Garnacho earned himself a place in the first team by April, debuting at Old Trafford against Chelsea in the league. 2022 to 2023 was his breakthrough season. Fans looked on in awe as the youngster showed not just raw talent, but a certain bravado with the skill to back it up. His first goal came against Real Sociedad in the Europa League, provided to him by none other than his idol Ronaldo. In November, Garnacho scored a late winner against Fulham, and in a brutal Manchester derby against City, he assisted the winning goal to make it 2-1. Since then, Garnacho has been progressing well. While he's not at the levels Ronaldo showed in his youth, there's no denying that he has some serious potential. He scored an unbelievable bicycle kick goal against Everton in 2023 to 2024 and has started imitating Ronaldo in his celebrations. Could 2024 to 2025 be the season where we see the next Ronaldo start to really shine? Though it's easy to say that the players on this list failed, it couldn't be further from the truth. Sure, none of them reached the blistering heights of Ronaldo, but those were expectations put on them by fans and pundits. Reaching the highest level of your game and playing top-flight football, especially when you come from a poor background, sometimes even without parents, is always a massive accomplishment. The next time you hear that a player could be the next Ronaldo, take it with a pinch of salt. After all, no matter how many of these young talents come and go, there will only ever be one CR7. If you want to follow the story of the winger that outscored everyone while drunk, check out the video of Eden Hazard here.